Hey, Slater Crusaders. So we've been talking a lot recently about the Wuhan Institute of Virology and whether or not this thing came from a lab, and we don't know, and maybe we'll never know, but one of the first people to say maybe, or it's possible, was Steven Mosher, and he wrote this article in the New York Post, and you weren't allowed to share it on Facebook and Twitter because they deemed it false. And then a couple, weeks later, as we know, the Washington Post came out and said, oh, by the way, the State Department said there's a very high likelihood that something could escape from this lab and cause a global pandemic. Steven Mosher is here is the author of Bully of Asia, Why China's Dream is the New Threat to World Order. Mr. Mosher, how are you, sir?
I'm good. China's not so
surprised?
good.
That's right. Were you surprised that Facebook and Twitter wouldn't let people share your article?
Well, after 10 million shares, I was a little surprised they would intercede at that point. And then I looked at their fact checkers, and the two people they went to, it was astonished me because one, Danielle Anderson, works for the National University of Singapore, and she has a research project, an ongoing research project with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So you would think they wouldn't ask an interested party, who's in a professional relationship with the chief virologist of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, a woman named Dr. Shizhang Li, her opinion on this, because she's obviously got some irons in the fire here. Oh, by the way, her research project was how to research coronaviruses to anticipate and stop the possible emergence into a human population of dangerous coronaviruses. That was her research project. Obviously, it failed, didn't it?
Unbelievable. Like that article you wrote, and please everyone read it in the New York Post. It was so amazing because it wasn't just like, oh, they're doing kind of crazy experiments at this lab. They're doing coronavirus experiments in bats. Right? It couldn't have been more specific to what we're doing right now. I don't want to really talk about that though, sir.
Hundreds of viruses,
And you talked about how people can sometimes sell these animals instead of disposing of them. It's just crazy. But I don't want to talk about that, sir, because your time's valuable, and I'd rather talk big picture. Your book, Bully of Asia. We've been talking about the Belt and Road Initiative a bit. I think we've done an okay job introducing it, but can you kind of take us back to the beginning? Like, what is it about the Chinese or the communist ambition for the world that we Americans need to be aware of?
Well, here's the world that the Chinese Communist Party wants to create. The Chinese Communist Party wants to create a world in which all manufacturing takes place in China, so that China is the manufacturing hub of the world. The rest of the world does what? The rest of the world's role in this is to provide raw materials for the Chinese industrial machine, and then to buy the consumer products that are produced by China's industrial machine. So basically the policy is what Japan had towards Taiwan prior to World War II. It was to industrialize Japan and to agriculturalize, it's a strange new word, right? Agriculturalize Taiwan. So to use us as a source of food and raw materials and then to produce all the goods in China. That's the idea that the Chinese Communist Party has to organize the world. That's not a world I want to live in.
Yeah, okay. How's that been going so far for them up until December, let's say?
Up until now? Well, I wrote another article in the Post just a couple of days ago, and I mentioned that 1/3 of all the manufactured goods in the world now have made in China stamped on them. So I would say up to the present time, it's been going pretty well for them. They've succeeded in moving a lot of manufacturing, as we know, from the Midwest of the United States. You might as well, up until Donald Trump took office, you might as well have carpet bombed the old industrial heartland of the United States because so many factories had closed in those states and reopened in China. But that's true of Japan, and that's true of Europe as well.
Really?
And the good news now is the world has woken up, of course, to the danger from China and is trying to move manufacturing out of China. Japan now is paying its companies to leave China. They don't have to come back to Japan. If you close your factory in China, you don't have to open one in Japan. You can open one in the Philippines or Vietnam or India or you can open one anywhere. Just leave China is the message from Tokyo.
Slater Crusaders, thanks for watching the first on YouTube. If you want more, like, subscribe. We got plenty.